This video is brought to you by Squarespace. If you need a website or domain, check out squarespace.com. Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video. Do you feel like your photography is in a rut and you're losing your motivation to get out there and take photos? How did the hobby or business you used to love so much turn into something so blah? In this video, we're going to explore where that motivation went, but more importantly, how to get back and take our photography to new heights. If you stay till the end, I'll share my personal motivating trick that keeps me getting up at 5 a.m. and going out to get photos like this and this. My name is Simon D'Entremont, and I'm a professional nature and wildlife photographer living in Eastern Canada. I make weekly videos giving you photo tips or taking you behind the scenes for nature photography. Subscribe if you want to see more.
Try to open up your mind sometimes. You'll be just fine.
Motivation is an odd thing. It silently gets us out of bed, makes us leave the house, and if you're a photographer, bring a little box with us with either film or a gadget that captures photons on the inside. Motivation is sometimes chasing what we want, like exercising for better health, or for avoiding something we don't want, like exercising to avoid poor health. In photography, there are many reasons why we took it up as a hobby or profession. For me, as a wildlife photographer, spending time in nature and making art out of what I see is what got me into it and keeps me going. But many of us one day are going to hit a wall, a morning where we usually have gone out and we'll say to ourselves, nah, I don't feel like going out today. Now, sometimes that's just a one-time event, but for others, it's the slippery edge of the slope, the beginning of the end where we don't have the motivation to go out and shoot. So if we've lost our motivation, how do we know what to look for if we don't know what we've lost? If we want to find motivation, what does this thing look like anyway? Let's look at the enemies of motivation when it comes to photography. I think one of the challenges with getting the motivation to get out there is just getting into a comfort zone of habit. That means we're going to do the same thing we did the last time we went out. But instinctively, we know that if we keep doing what we've been doing, we're going to keep getting what we've been getting. But doing the same thing as I did yesterday is the easy path. You go somewhere you know, or with the same people you always do. Or bring the same favorite lens on your favorite camera attached to your favorite strap, shooting your favorite subject. You know where I'm going. Habit and familiarity have made it easy, but aren't the sparks of innovation by a long shot. Another enemy of motivation is actually wanting something too much. Perfectionism. I faced this when learning the guitar. The fun part for me was that every time I picked up the guitar, I was a bit better than before. The problem, this led me to wanting to play harder and harder pieces to keep advancing. But at a certain level, in any endeavor, the amount of effort to get 10% better gets exponentially harder. I was starting to play pieces that took me 20 hours to learn to get proficient at, then 25, then 30. Next thing you know, I want to play a piece that takes me 40 hours to get good at, and that's a hill to climb that was just too intimidating. Photography can be the same way. We want demonstrably better and better results. So after I've taken these photos of elephants, what's next? One with wings? Two psychologists in 1999 did a study that found that people with low experience and knowledge in certain domains were interestingly prone to a high confidence level at the same time, while people with the most experience and knowledge were cautious about rating their skill too highly. They determined that people go through a life cycle as they learn a new skill. They start off knowing a little and recognizing so, but quickly gaining confidence, underestimating the complexity and having a false sense of expertise and thinking they know everything. Then they learn more. Increasingly, they realize that they didn't know what they didn't know, with confidence dropping as the realization that this is way more complicated sets in. And finally, they become experts over time, but with a solid understanding of how complicated things are, and they're smart enough to never say they know it all. Photography is no different, with a technical learning curve to learn settings, ISO, shutter speed, etc., and getting a well-exposed photo in a decent amount of time for many people. But then, when looking and starting to understand the brilliance in the masters of each genre of photography, slowly realizing that, holy crap, how do I ever get to that level? This realization can get demoralizing. And finally, another cause of lack of motivation, low expectations. I don't expect to get anything better than yesterday. And when you go out over and over and seem to come home with the same stuff, not feeling like you're advancing, it's hard to pluck up the courage and get out again. We all need a spark of hope that today will be the day for an amazing shot to make us to want to get out there. or at least that we're going to enjoy ourselves. So now we understand that where we've been is clearly coloring where we're going. We know our past, but does this have to be our future? No way. Here are 4 tips to get you out of that creative rut and get you out there with more passion than ever. One of the best things to focus your energies, especially when you're stuck in a rut of a regular habit, is to set a specific goal. Something specific to go out there and get. When the director of a nature documentary on the impacts of an invasive species hired me to go out and get footage of a specific species affected and in a forest of a certain species of tree, I absolutely loved working on this project. Why? Rather than going out for a walk in any woods to get photos of anything, I needed a certain tree species and a certain bird and mammal species for her documentary. That made me laser focused on a mission. Go here, here, and find this, this, and this. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it. My goals for my work made my mission clear and allowed me to clearly make the difference between success and failure. None of this, it was okay. Failure was not an option for me, and I didn't stop till I delivered, and it was great. I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. I built my own website using Squarespace, and it was a breeze. A website is a great way to have a professional place online where you can show off your work or your service or your personal brand. There are lots of useful templates, including ones for specific genres like photography, but the place to go now is to use the new Design Intelligence feature, combining Squarespace's experience and cutting-edge AI, empowering you to tailor your own build to your own specific needs. A website is also a great way to monetize your work by setting up an online store using Squarespace Payments, which you can set up with just a few clicks. And give your customers more ways to pay with Klarna, ACH Direct Debit, Apple Pay, and Afterpay. Go to squarespace.com to sign up for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Simon for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Another way to give yourself a kick in the pants to go out is get a new piece of gear. Many of us like playing with new toys, so a new piece of gear motivates us to get out there and give it a try. With any luck, your new gear also opens up new photographic opportunities, new genres, or new styles. Use this as a launch pad for a new creative approach by asking yourself, what can I do with this new gear that I couldn't do before? Make that your goal for your outing. Come home with something new that the new equipment has opened up. By the way, sign up for my email list and you can download my guide for taking great photos by shooting backlit. Link below. Another great way to see new things, learn new things, and try new approaches is to get a photo buddy or join a photo community. Hanging out with a photo buddy will show you new areas that you've never seen before, new streets, new back roads, and new vistas. And watching someone else doing their photography is often very interesting. I wonder why they're shooting from that angle. If you don't have an obvious photo buddy, join a photo club. There are lots of these around and they bring in guest speakers to explore new topics and give tips. I've spoken to many in the past myself. And most clubs also organize little photo contests in various genres or themed shoots like Shoot It If It's Blue. They show off the shots at monthly meetings and sometimes give prizes. Most clubs also organize field trips, one on street photography or a portrait shoot or wildlife. At these you can learn a new genre, get the techniques right, and maybe make a new photo friend too. A coffee afterwards for the group at a local coffee shop is often part of the fun. Another way to focus your effort, remotivate yourself, and hone your skills is to work on a project like a portfolio or a photo book. That way it's not random like just going out. You go with a plan that focuses your effort and your location and your equipment choices, and you know that every small effort you make adds up to a bigger project. My current project is to get exceptional photos for a fine art limited edition collection. I've stopped selling prints in the last year and I'm focused on getting fewer but more exceptional photos of a style that would look great on a wall as fine art. Every time I go to Africa on a photo trip, if I can come home with just 2 or 3 photos for my collection in return for 10 days in the field, I'm happy. If I do this for the next 3 years, I'll have 24 photos in my collection and be happy as a clam. Working towards a photo book is also a great project. Pick a theme or a style and work for the year to fill it up. Same for making a calendar. All you need is 12 great photos, 1 per month, and they'll make great and personal holiday gifts at the same time. And I promised you a bonus tip, and I think this is one you all need to hear. If you're going to grow as a photographer working in a public world with social media, you need to understand something. Someone will always criticize your work and not everyone will love your photos. But you know what? You showed up. You got out of bed at ungodly hours or hiked 10 kilometers to a mountaintop or walked the streets forever looking for a photo opportunity. You showed up. And when you show up with courage, it's not important whether or not you win or lose, succeed or fail. By having the courage to show up, you've already succeeded. And you know what? People who criticize you will come in two forms. If they also have the courage to get out there and have walked in your shoes, at least they speak from experience, and maybe you can take their advice as a way to work on your craft. But if they're criticizing you from the cheap seats, comfy in their armchair, who the heck are they to criticize you, not having the guts to get out of their chair and to do something other than take shots at your work about something they know nothing about? Don't worry, I get them too. Photographers who criticize me about shooting wildlife at ISO 12,800 as if there's something wrong with my technique when they've never left their couch, nor hiked a few tens of thousands of kilometers and scrounged through the mud and cold, nor gotten up at 4 a.m. or anything else to get the shot. If you haven't, then you haven't earned the right for me to care about what you think. When you have, thanks for the constructive criticism. And the same should go for you. Be proud that you had the courage to show up. By doing so, you've already made a great victory. You can carry your head high that even if you don't come home with an award-winning photo, you've already done more than someone who didn't even try. If all this talk of getting innovative photos has you intrigued and you're looking for ideas, see my video with 5 tips for taking more impactful photos, which you can see right here. If this video was deserving, give it a like and YouTube will share it with even more photographers looking to take their images to the next level. And I hope that you can get out there soon to use these tips and take your own unique and amazing photos. I know you can do it.